Happy Peeps, Suzanna here today for my first of two layouts that I'm sharing with you for Clique Kits as an ambassador. And for my first layout, I have chosen to take on the monthly sketch challenge. So this is the sketch with two photos and a vertical element, and that is how I interpreted the sketch, which has a horizontal element and two photos. You will see how this comes together. So what I omitted from the video, because I was actually playing around with this, was I fussy cut out those ribbons, so the pink and orange and yellow ribbons, and then I went upstairs to my sewing machine and I used a variegated thread and stitched more waves in the opposing direction down the or across, depending on how you look at the photo or the page, those other waves. So you have the ribbons or the waves that are at the bottom, and then I put the waves at the top there. And so just as the sketch called for, I had two pictures. These pictures are of, one of them is of my feet and the paddle boat and the view of Indianapolis, and the other is of my son and I and my parents. We were visiting my parents for a swim meet. We went early. Nicholas had a big swim meet in Indianapolis, and we went early so that we could spend some time with them, and this is what we decided to do. And that is what the pictures are of. And I liked the way that the waves or the ribbons in the Renke paper that I fussy cut kind of mimic the waves that are in the canal, which is why I'm going to construct this entire layout just as the sketch is called for, but then I am going to end up shifting it so that the waves look more like waves. So the sketch has two sets of embellishment clusters, one on the right and one on the left. And I did stick with those two clusters. I did not use those semicircles as the sketch called for because I felt like I had enough circular movement in there, and to add a circle or those semicircles, you would have lost the idea of them. And so instead I just decided to use the butterflies. So I have the wood veneer butterflies as well as some fussy cut butterflies that are also from another Renke paper, and that is what I used as those little clusters there. The wood veneer butterflies I did gesso with a white gesso. The wood tone didn't work with the rest of the layout. It has a very clean black and white finish to the layout, and so I wanted to make those butterflies work, and I was able to do that by painting them white. I did, and I'll show you, I did add a little extra color to a few of those butterflies there. And then that word wander is also from the kit, and that is what's really cool about that is they're Heidi Swap words and they're black, but if you run them through your Mink, you can add color foil to them. So you could have it pink, you could have it blue, whatever color foils you have and that work with your layout. And I happen to have that sort of coppery orange color. Now that particular piece, that journal strip, and this here that is in my hand right now, these are pieces that are from the Traveler's Notebook kit. I love adding layers, and what was very difficult with me for this kit is that while these Renke papers, Alexandra Renke papers, are absolutely fantastic and they're super for fussy cutting and they're super different, they're not like anything that you find here in the US, they're not really good for layering because there aren't many solid colors to them. So I was able to pull color into this kit by taking the Traveler's Notebook kit and adding some color into it that way. So this is where I flip it and I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I'm missing. So I still have all of the elements of the sketch. I have the two photos, I have the two embellishment clusters, and I just flipped that horizontal element to be vertical, and it works perfectly. It's still a sketch. You can see how the sketch inspired the layout, but you can see how the photos more succinctly dictated what was going to happen with that sketch there. So I thought that Pretty Little Studio thing that said note that right there that I'm moving that rectangle, I thought I was going to journal on it, and I thought the journaling was going to go underneath the title just as the sketch called for, but it became too blocky, and it actually ended up being a perfect element of color behind my right hand side photo there. So that is how that ends up being where it is. And I am essentially going to rebuild the layout exactly as I had it with those ribbons going horizontally. I'm sorry, vertically. And I'm just literally rebuilding the layout so that those ribbons are going to move horizontally across the page and mimic the waves in the canal where we were paddle boating. I will tell you that paddle boating is not as easy as one thinks. You know, when you are a family of 4 and you have 2 little kids in the boat, you know, it's doable. I remember doing it in Disney a couple of years ago, but when you have 4 essentially adults in a paddle boat, it's hard work. And Nicholas had his swim competition. This was on a Sunday. We were dropping him off the following day, and he wasn't competing until Tuesday, I don't think it was, but still, I'm pretty sure that's not what his coach had in mind for his legs, because that was hard work, he and I doing the paddling. Anyway, I digress. So this is how I end up completing the sketch. So for the title, I did use the pattern paper that comes in the kit, and I used paddle, and the font that I used for that is cheddar something. I will put it in the description box down below. And then boat is actually, these are love and lemon letters that come with the kit, and I'm sure you, pardon me, I'm sorry. I am sure you saw earlier that they're almost like mahjong tiles, and they're fantastic letters, but they weren't going to work with this layout as they were. They were really going to overpower those 2 4x3 photos that I had. And so in order to make them work and still be able to use them on the layout, all I did was fussy cut them and trim a small outline on the outer edge of those letters. So this is where I'm going to pick up some color from a Vicki Boutin art crayon and just turn that larger white butterfly into some pink, and again just to add some more splash of color. The contrast between the white and the black in this layout really needed that little extra added touch. The sketch has on the right hand side just that little banner. I'm going to move mine to the left in order to create that visual triangle from that over to the title, through the photos, and down into that word wander. So that, my friends, is my interpretation of the August Clique Kit sketch. If you play along, we would love to see what you create, so do tag us on that. Enjoy the close-ups. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me today, and take care.